Yeah, we're okay. I'm okay with this. Yes.
Professor Varghese?
Yes.
All right, so we'll go live now. We'll start on time. Amal, could you do the
Yes, ma'am. We are starting the live in 3, 2, 1. And yes, we are live.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Warmest greetings to you from the Alumni Association of St. Stephen's College. Allow me to briefly introduce myself. My name is Anne Susan Elias. I'm from the undergraduate batch of 2013 English, and I'm currently here as the faculty coordinator of the Alumni Association of College. This event, which is specially and exclusively put together for former students of college in the European regions, is a very special one for all of us here today. We are thrilled and extremely happy to have all of you here. Please note that this event is being live streamed on YouTube, so we will have attendees who will be joining us via YouTube as well. As we begin the proceedings of this day, may I introduce to you our moderator for this event, Mr. Raman Sidhu, who is a core committee member of the Alumni Association of College. Mr. Sidhu is from the batch of 1977 Economics. He was the CEO and chairman of the European Business Group Federation India for over 7.5 years till recently. He is also the co-founder of Public Affairs Forum of India. I wish to stand no longer between you and the rest of the program. Warmest greetings to all of you again, and over to you, Mr. Sidhu.
Thank you, Anne Susan. A very warm welcome to all our viewers, and thank you very much indeed for having taken time off to join this virtual meeting. This is a very important initiative that we have undertaken. For being the foremost institution in India, it was a pity that we were not so on the ball, if I may say so, as far as getting a very active global alumni together. But now that is on course, and I'm happy to say that, tell you all that it's developing very, very well. And Europe is a very important segment of that. And I'm very happy that we have got with us today our ambassador, Javed. He is been a very, very positive and helpful alumnus, even when he was High Commissioner in Singapore. So very warm welcome, His Excellency Mr. Javed Ashraf. He is the 1984 Economic Honours alumnus and has also been with IIM Ahmedabad. He has had a very, very wonderful career so far, and I think the envy of a lot of people. He's been to most of the sought-after countries and desks, having served in Frankfurt, Berlin, counselor in Kathmandu, political counselor in Washington, in Government of India, Joint Secretary in MEA. He has worked under Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister currently. He has been High Commissioner Singapore and now on to France and the Principality of Monaco. Married to Ghazala Shahabuddin, who's an ecologist and a conservation biologist. A very warm welcome to you, and please do continue to support us. A very warm welcome to Professor John Varghese, the 13th principal of our great college. He is a communication expert, and that is very, very obvious in a few minutes of conversation with him, let alone the ease with which he communicates in the language that he's very, very good at and also very close to, and that is English. And within English, it is English literature, which is his pet area. Very warm welcome to Vishwanath Kotapalli, who was in Economic Honours 2012 alumnus. He's a photographer and entrepreneur in immersive imaging. Now, I won't get into that and ask him what immersive imaging is, but sometime later, I would love to know about immersive imaging. He currently is advisor to Coca-Cola, Nivea, and a few others such well-known companies. A very warm welcome to Dr. Shachi Gurumayam, Chemistry Honours 98. He is also a much lauded, a much recognized individual, and we're very happy that a person like him has come from St. Stephen's. He has had recognition such as the Young Person of UK Chemical Industries Association 2003, and very recently was honored with the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, which is the highest honor an overseas Indian can get, and that is given by the president of our country. The founder of the Mool Keki Foundation, Manipur, the state I'm also very, very fond of. And don't think that, I say that we tend to use fond of very, it comes to us very quickly. Although someone told me that I'm fond of chocolates also, so I don't use this word too often. So, but it's a state I have a lot of admiration for. He's on the board of companies in Amsterdam, Brussels, Lagos, married and settled in Switzerland, and with 2 children, a lovely young girl also as part of those 2 children, who I've had the pleasure of meeting at my home, and both were in Delhi time back. With that, I would like to move on to just briefly talking about what we are trying to do. The Stephanian group in Europe, this is more of the raison d'etre for today's program is more of building an awareness about what this is. And as we go on to cajole, to request people from college who are based in Europe to get more and more people to sign on and to strengthen our alumni database. So if I would implore you as we go along that you please proactively let us know who you know in Europe. I'm talking of geographical Europe. So forget Brexit for the moment. And so give names from geographical Europe, and all can be fed into Anne Susan, LAS, who's doing a wonderful job. And I would stop at that because we need to have a control on the time keeping. And I would now like to invite Professor John Verghese, who would take it on from here, and wish you all happy viewing. Over to you, Professor.
Greetings, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Sidhu, for the invitation to hold forth for a few minutes. I'm brief because we have a much better speaker and a more exciting event which is yet to happen. Your Excellency, Ambassador Javed Ashraf, Indian Ambassador to France, Mr. Raman Sidhu and Dr. Shachi, my co-members of the Alumni Core Committee, Mr. Vishwanath Kotapalli, entrepreneur, and somebody whom my colleagues and alumni spread across the entire globe. I'm very happy to be here because this is yet another step in the smooth and steady developments that we are making so far as our alumni goes. Over the last few years, we've had the pleasure of having small chapters set up in Cambridge, a small informal chapter set up in New York, and a proper full-fledged chapter being established in Japan. And I think it's about time that we also did some active work in Europe and a more spread out set of activities in the United Kingdom especially. And to this end, Miss Anne Susan and I were having a conversation. Miss Anne Susan, in case you didn't know it, she is the faculty coordinator of the alumni office at St. Stephen's College, here in college. And she's been very proactive, and she won't take things lying down. she'd be after me, prodding me to get this done, to send off this email, to get a conversation going with Shachi, to get Mr. Sidhu to do that, to get our president of the Alumni Association to call for a meeting. She is hyperactive. And I think one of the reasons we are meeting here this afternoon or this morning, whatever it may be, wherever you are, is because of a constant pushing and prodding. We're grateful to you, Anne, for the work that you do. But my dear alumni, I'm very happy because I see the alumni of the college coming together. I know each one of you have been doing excellent work in your respective fields, and college is proud of each and every one of you. But I wish to state a fact which is there at the back of your minds, but I'd like to bring it to the surface. And it is the idea that not one of us is as strong as all of us. It goes back to that old saying that all of us are familiar with. There is strength in unity. But there is not only strength. I would like to put further and say, there is also hope in us coming together. Because as individuals, we are also good. Dr. Shachi, for example, he is renowned not only in our country, but he is renowned for the excellent work that he is doing in Africa, and he's based out of yet another country. So the good work that Shachi does is being recognized around the world. Like that, each one of us, Mr. Sandhu, I know the lovely work that you have been doing, and I am very appreciative of what you do. Likewise, each and every one of us. I don't need to talk too much about Ambassador Ashraf because Mr. Sidhu has already mentioned the good work that he has done in Singapore while the High Commissioner there. But I have also personally experienced how warm and friendly Ambassador Ashraf can be. 2 years ago, we had the honor and the privilege of having him in college for our dismissal service. I'm sure he has forgotten, but I can assure you, Your Excellency and my other alumni friends, that the students who received their little souvenir from Ambassador Ashraf, they would not have forgotten, because he took time to spend with every person who came up on stage. And there were about 300 plus of them. With every one of those students, he put an arm around them, asked them a question, congratulated them, shook hands with them, and then gave them that little souvenir. Of course, all of them are going to remember the event, but more importantly, they are going to remember one of the qualities that all of us alumni share. And that is this quality of excellence and caring for each other. When you can do things by yourself so well, imagine what we can do together. And that is the reason why we are coming together as a chapter. We are coming together as a chapter to enjoy each other's company, to remember the good old times, to poke fun at each other, but also to see where our strengths can be best used so that the world can become a better place. And I am very, very confident that this is not an idealist's dream. It is a very practical thing. Just before we started this formal meeting, Ambassador Ashraf was sharing with all of us a brief description of a young man, Apu Suresh, who's doing some phenomenal work. Imagine how this can change our lives. Forget Apu Suresh for a minute. Think of yourself. Each one of you, think of yourself and see how what you are good at can be used to make not only the alumni much better, but please look at it at a global level, because there is no point in us restricting our view and our vision to just a small state or even to just our country. We must take the good things of our country to the world. We must let our light shine. Many of you may remember that verse which is inscribed in the college hall. You are the light of the world, and you who have the light, you must in turn share it with others. I'm so happy that we are making this start here. I'm grateful to Ms. Anne Susan, Mr. Raman Sidhu, Dr. Shachi, for the efforts that you have put in, and I congratulate all of you. I'm very hopeful that the chapter or chapters in Europe will contribute to each other's growth and to the growth of the world. God bless all of us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sidhu, you're not audible. Could you unmute yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was saying that could I invite you, Professor Verghese, now to please in turn invite His Excellency Mr. Javed Ashraf to address the gathering today, and also in due course to unveil the virtual tour created by Mr. Kotapalli. Over to you, Professor. Professor Verghese, are you unmuted? And should I?
Yes, perhaps you could, Mr. Sidhu.
To save time. So here I am back with you, Excellency. So could I please invite you to say a few words, address this gathering, this very important gathering, and in due course, along with Professor Verghese, unveil the virtual tour. So over to you, Ambassador.
Well, thank you, Mr. Raman Sidhu. It's such a pleasure to meet you after the exchange that we had on the virtual medium in Singapore. Professor Verghese, Principal, always a great pleasure to interact with you, to hear you, to listen to your vision. And we deeply admire the work you're doing, both to strengthen the heritage of the college, to prepare it for the future, and bring us all together as alumni. Because in all the decades that we've been out of college, we've never seen this level of activity and effort from a principal to bring together the alumni so that they could just be with each other, but also to contribute back to college. To Anne, thank you for putting this together. You're again a great symbol of all the efficiency we've come to expect from every Stephanian. And to Sachi, of course, my neighbor literally here in Switzerland, and the first Stephanian I spoke to when I came to France. And to all those who are here, it's a real pleasure to be for this and very excited to be part of this new initiative here in Europe. Thank you for inviting me. I'm not sure I think it's a little bit embarrassing to be called a guest of honor among fellow Stephanians, many of whom and most of whom truly deserve to be the guests of honor. And also because all of us are tainted by memories of acts of dishonor in college that are the real memories that we carry with us. So I'm sure there will be a lot of my friends who would probably scoff and laugh at this. But again, I mean, in whatever form, it's a real pleasure to join this. And of course, this is the month of December. And December is really a time for reunions, to reignite our youth, to renew our memories of each other, as we have done on the lawns of Walnut and Rudra, but now doing it in the virtual medium. But it also takes us back to what it used to be in December when we were in college. It was be the end of the second semester. The Winterfest would just be over. The skies would be blue, which the new generation might find hard to believe that in Delhi we could have blue skies in December. There was already the first signs of thoughts about the dreary third semester when you had to do things like write exams, always a secondary consideration in college. But for those of us who were in the residence, our greatest preoccupation used to be to see if the coal-fired boiler would deliver some drops of hot water that we could have a bath with. The path to class at 8:40 was impossible because it was too cold, especially for those who were in residence. And I think the alternate lawns were always fuller than the classrooms because of this wonderful afternoon sun or midday sun that we were all used to, with a cup of chai and maybe even a hot gulab jamun or samosa from Rohtas and Sukhia's dhaba, but also the warmth of college cafe. It was also a time when I think we, instead of pursuit of dates, we started pursuing duties of others. And in the age when we didn't have the facility to copy notes, we used to sit and regularly copy them. But this was also perhaps one of the most beautiful times when you look at the winter of college in those, and the brick walls used to look so beautiful, like with the light of those light winter, the honey-colored light of winter sun, and the lawns would always be green and very inviting. But it is really, again, so therefore, anytime you speak of college, it evokes memories of those wonderful days. And all of us have been in college at different times. Some of us were there when it was only a men's college. Some of us were there when the college admitted women, but didn't admit them into residence and put some very strong invisible barriers to their entry. And there are others who are now attending college when it has, fortunately, a better gender balance, both in the classes and in the residence. But each of us have our own memories imprinted on the brick walls. And those brick walls have infinite capacity, really, to be the library of personal autobiographies of every Stephanian that has walked through those corridors and passed through its gates. But it isn't just the brick walls that define our college. It is also the accumulated weight of traditions, of ethos, of a way of life, of just being Stephanian that defines college. And it is also our heritage, and it is the inheritance of those who joined the college in succeeding generations. It defines us in a way that when we, anywhere in the world, anytime, when we meet someone and ask that question, are you from college? Without the prefix, without a name, and with a capital C. And for all of us who have walked through those corridors, in that moment of self-evident familiarity, a new bond is formed. And wherever we are, and despite decades that might separate us, and that one question forms a warm bond that is indescribable. That world has, of course, changed. India has changed. In the last 20 years, perhaps more than in the last 4 decades. The politics around us in the world, economy, technology, everything has changed. The way we live, the way we work, consume, communicate. And it is the digital era that is upon us now. So we often look at college sometimes and at our times through a frozen memory of our times, of our world, of our era. But the college must change, must evolve with the passage of time, must remain relevant. And when we see today, there have been a lot of questions about reservations, about the role of church, about the quest for autonomy, about what kind of direction the college should take, what kind of students do we get, who are we there, who comes and studies there, and who leaves those gates later. And what does it happen to a person after those 3 years? To me, those questions, and Professor Verghese and I and others have talked about it, and about our real desire to bring autonomy to college. But I think the real question for me is 3. What kind of skills do we leave with? What sense of permanence of excellence and pursuit of excellence that we imbibe in ourselves? What are the values and what is the attitude? What sense of ethics, one sense of justice, one sense of social responsibility that we leave college with? It is irrespective of what we come in with, what we leave, and what era we are in, because those are timeless propositions. And I had the privileges, as Principal mentioned, of going to college in 2019 for the dismissal service. And I had a few impressions. One, of course, is that we didn't have dismissal service. And here were students graduating, 300 of them, with their parents who had come from all parts of India, and maybe some from abroad, who were there under a grand shamiana in the alternate lawns where the students were in their robes in the classroom. And in that moment, as I was standing on the stage, I could see everything that we in our times had deeply valued for our college. I, for one, was very happy to see more women in college. And I must say that all the awardees, the women far outnumbered men, and it is just so because they just seem to be so much better at everything that they do. I'd also say that the college and the students seem far more socially and politically aware, far more socially engaged than we were. We perhaps took pride in our insularity, but they seem to have taken great pride in being engaged socially. There were far more activities clubbed than in our time, dealing with sustainability, dealing with communities, dealing with issues of poverty and literacy and education. And I'd say that there were also, in some sense, a far higher level of diversity in students. And I was deeply touched when the entire community of graduating class of 300 gave a rousing reception to the student who was the best student of college that year, who came from a very modest background, from a village in Haryana, but spoke with such passion, wisdom, and insight that it belied his age, his background, and the fact that everyone in college rallied behind him spoke so much for the values that our college still creates in our students. But it was also, on a lighter note, it was reassuring to see that when I was giving my speech, the loudest applause was reserved for the dig that I took at the college across the road. And that was something that really gladdened my heart. So I think that when we also talk to the students, and I was delighted to see that they still dodge the night register at 10 p.m. and that they still smuggle in stuff that they are not supposed to. And women seem to be far better at it than the men in residence. So it was always good to see some of that tradition of healthy rebellion, of healthy disregard for some of the norms of college, all in good spirit. And Principal was also extremely indulgent about it because he knew that they wouldn't be young, bright, enthusiastic, and enterprising if they weren't doing this. And I also saw some real great examples of innovation at that point of time. And I'm really delighted to see that college has started the Stephens Center for Advanced Learning. There is no institution of that kind in Delhi at the moment. And there isn't a better place to do it than Delhi. And St. Stephen's College probably has the largest treasure of expertise, domain knowledge in just about every field that concerns public policy, public affairs, and every kind of challenge that our world and that our country faces today. Among our alumni, in every field, they have excelled across the world. And they really constitute an extraordinary, indefinable, infinite treasure of expertise that our SCAL will benefit from. And I must compliment Principal for this wonderful initiative, and I look forward to coming there sometime. He mentioned a little bit about Singapore. And I'd say this, that it was a wonderful alumni association. Of course, we had 450, 500 alumni in just 718 square kilometers of that city. It was easy for us to meet. And I was very happy in the sprawling India House to host at least twice a year. We had the great privilege of having the principal with us at some point in time. And it wasn't just about meeting and having fun. And believe me, even if the person passed out in the 60s, and we had some young people who were passing out in 2015, and that completely blurred in that shared experience of having been Stephanians. My favorite were young girls, all under 30, who'd found a startup of their own, and it was so good to see them together. But we did some other things. There was a scholarship fund that had been created by contributions, and they, I think, fund a couple of students from somewhat more difficult circumstances. We had also started thinking about collecting funds for capital expenditure and improving the infrastructure in college. We had begun the idea of inviting students to do internship and to provide, enable, and we were all ready to say that many of them came forward and said, if we get students to do internship in Singapore, they can spend their 2 months staying with at home with a lot of people who were volunteering, in a sense like a mentoring opportunity. I had the privilege of inviting some young startups from college, which you believe from the Innovation Lab of St. Stephen's College to the business and innovation event that we did in Singapore, and where we had a big startup exhibition. There were 4,000 participants, 120 startups. And these young Stephanians had created an equivalent of Uber for management of waste in Dehradun. It was really, really, and I wish that at some day they get that angel investor. So these are the ways in which we can connect back to college, besides standing up for each other, besides having each other's back in good times, in difficult times. I think when we can reach out to each other and reach out to help those in college, it is a great way to give back. And of course, as I mentioned, SCAL. Here in Europe, I think there is a lot that we can do on similar lines. I'm prepared, of course, to offer whatever hospitality I can to have a physical reunion here in the splendid residence of the Indian ambassador right next to the Eiffel Tower. And it's a short journey from UK. Despite the Brexit hassles, people-to-people relations remain very strong. The trains still come in, the flights still come in. And we can, and I've already arranged to do a reunion for our batch, the 1984 batch, but would really be happy to do it. We can continue. I'm looking to see how at every event I'll invite young Stephanians from college who are still studying for events here, for internships if possible, and also to see if we can connect college to some of the more to renowned institutions here in France, just to have this exchange. Maybe a few students can come and spend a semester here. Maybe a few students can go from these colleges because we had a similar arrangement in IIM Ahmedabad. This kind of a thing will enhance the global vision of our students, prepare them better for the world. They already are. And for all of us here to remain in regular touch, I think, Mr. Sidhu, in your leadership, especially from UK, we have great confidence that we would be able to steer this into a more active association. I look forward to, during my time that I'm here, to do my bit and to continue to meet you either in UK here or in, with Sachi is there. I've got a few of my batchmates two in Switzerland, one here who splits between UK and Germany, Sucheta Das, I don't know, Jati Banerjee in Switzerland, and Shivani Lal, who's also in Switzerland. If you were in, we look forward to your contributions also as to those who are listening in. And Professor, we look forward to the opportunity for you to visit us. I can assure you this current scare that we have should be behind us by January. So next summer, we certainly look to having you Professor Verghese with us in Europe, and I'd be very happy to use that opportunity to invite everyone to Paris and for us to meet in person. There's no substitute for it. Thank you very much and look forward to the rest of the session. And to Vishwanath, to see your excellent rendition of the wonderful, timeless building of St. Stephen's College and campus.
Those were wonderful words of not just encouragement, but also taking some of us back. Despite your warm remembrances of frolicking in Walnut during those sometimes bleak mornings also in winter, and waiting desperately for some ray of sunshine to sort of come through. But I envy you, in fact, and your current place of stay, because it reminds me, on the other hand, of frolicking on a white Christmas in Champs-Élysées, in gay abandon with my wife. Wonderful words. Thank you very much. And we will keep in touch. There is a very active association in UK. I've, in fact, attended 2 functions where it just happened to be in London at the same time. But we'll take up your advice on that also, take it forward. I would now request Professor John Verghese, we lost you earlier somewhere, if you could kindly introduce the virtual tour of college and then invite Ambassador to jointly launch this virtual tour of college. Over to you, Professor Verghese.
Thank you, Mr. Sidhu. All of us have experienced the horrors of COVID-19. When COVID-19 struck us out of the blue, we were particularly wondering in college how to go forward. And there were so many young people who were keen on coming to college and they just couldn't make it. The pandemic made sure that everyone stayed indoors, especially it was such a disaster and a distress to walk down the corridors in college and see it so forlorn. No young people there in the corridors, no chattering, no one on the lawns, the classrooms empty. It was so dismal. And then while we were 6 months into the pandemic, a young man came to my office and he introduced himself as Vishwanath. That was the first time I was meeting him. And he told me that he was from Hyderabad. And when he told me that, my ears pricked up because I had spent a good 23 years in Hyderabad, and that in many ways was a wonderful time. So when he told me that he was from college and he was currently based out of Hyderabad, I got talking to this young man. And then I found out that he was in college to take a few photographs of the college. So then I told him, why don't we take it a step further and create a virtual tour so that especially those who have never visited the college can get an idea of what college is. And even if they cannot get the real feel of the college, they get a semblance of what college is. So that is how it started. And it has taken us a lot of time to get this ready for a launch, but it is ready. And ladies and gentlemen, my dear alumni, I am proud to present before all of you Mr. Vishwanath Kothapalli, the young entrepreneur, the brain behind this virtual tour. I'm confident that this virtual tour will be enjoyed by everybody, but more so by those who are not in Delhi. I know your love for college, and I hope this will spur you to retain and to strengthen your bonds with college. Thank you so much, Vishwanath, for the wonderful work that you have done. And congratulations to all of us. You can now remember and strengthen your memories as well. Vishwanath, you may want to share a few words.
I would like to show the, hello everyone. I would like to show the virtual tour first, then I would like to speak about it. I'll share my screen first.
Vishwanath,
So,
would you like His Excellency to launch it and then talk, or would you like?
I would like to be launched, it to be launched first. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Your Excellency, may I request you to please launch the virtual tour?
Well, all of us are waiting eagerly to see it. And Vishwanath, I must say, you're another example of continuing excellence that college is producing, and even more diverse fields than before. So congratulations to you, and all credit to Principal. He keeps tapping all the best out of everyone. So look forward to seeing this, and very happy to have the honor and the privilege to launch this virtual tour, which will circulate around the world in the course of the next 24 hours, and every Stephanian, I hope, gets to see it. So all the best to you, right?
Thank you, sir. That's it.
That's wonderful. Vishwanath, Kotapalli,
Yes, sir.
all our congratulations to you. Done very
Thank
well.
you.
Very
Thank you
well.
very much, sir. Thank you.
I had posed in the chat group a request to everyone who would like to pose any questions to either put them in the chat group or raise your hands, and we will try and we are not too many of us on the call, so hopefully everyone will get an opportunity to interact with Professor Verghese, with Ambassador Javed Ashraf, and anyone else they would like to. So I can see some questions already being posted here. Mr. Vishwanath, before I get into moderating Q&A, I would invite you to briefly say a few words and
Yes, sir.
about the wonderful work that you've done and what it took to do this and what were the thought processes behind your putting into place in those few minutes what you have
Yes, sir.
done. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Very glad to be here today. I'm quite honored to have this virtual tour launched by our distinguished alumni, His Excellency Ambassador Javed Ashraf. First of all, I want to thank the principal, sir, Professor John Verghese, for the opportunity and support in making this virtual tour. It will be a digital documentation of the college for future reference. I want to thank the alumni faculty coordinator, Miss Anne Susan, for helping me throughout the process. Especially thank our student volunteers, Amal, Neha, and Genesee for assisting me in the shoots and helping me in developing the tour. And talking about my experience of making the virtual tour, it was wonderful going back to college after almost a decade and exploring every part of it. My mind was filled with nostalgia. The whole process of making the virtual tour brought back a lot of memories. I ended up calling a lot of friends, during the shoot. I talked to them for hours. I hope this virtual tour will give you the same experience, take you back in time, and let you relive some cherished memories. It will also help you see how much the college has changed since you last visited. There are a lot of places, even though I lived in college for 3 years, there are a lot of places which I never visited, like some places in the gym, the shooting range, the football ground. So you'll be able to explore a lot of places. It will definitely let you jog your memories. And if you let me, I would like to walk you through some features of the tour. If you let me share my screen again, if you have the time for it. Sir, would you like me to do that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Firstly, on the right side bottom, you have a voiceover button. You can use this button to launch voiceover for the tour. You have two language options, English and Urdu. You can click on one of those and the voiceover will start in the background. You can stop voiceover by clicking on the close button here. And these icons you see all over the tour, you can use them to navigate through the tour. If you click on them, it will take you towards the direction they are pointing at. And these ones, they give you information, the icons with I mark on them. This panel on the left, it is the menu panel. The first button gives you some information about the college. You can scroll down and read about it. And this video button shows some beautiful drone 4K footage of the college main building and the chapel. And this list button has all the locations of the tour here divided into categories. You can use it to go to any particular place. And this drone button shows you all aerial locations. They're in the form of thumbnails, so you can visually see where you want to go. And this button shows you all ground locations. Again, they're in the form of thumbnails, so you can. There are about some 150 of them, so you can go wherever you want to go. And this floor map button, it shows you a map of the entire campus. And these red dots represent all the aerial locations. You can click on one of them to go to a location. And this red triangle is called a radar. It represents your point of view. You can see that whenever I move my point of view, the red triangle also moves. And then this map button shows you the Google Maps version of our college's location. You can use this button to switch to the satellite view. You can also access our college's website right from here without leaving the tour. And then this last button gives you information about who all contributed to the making of our virtual tour. And then here you have the settings button. Our tour is completely compatible with VR headsets. So you can enter the VR mode from here. You can disable all this information. If you want to look at the virtual tour and have a clean view, you can disable this information here by disabling the stickers here. You can disable the hotspots, as in like all these, all the information here you can disable. You can toggle audio, you can toggle full screen. And then finally, this is my logo here. You can click on it to visit my website to see the kind of work I do. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vishwanath. That was most helpful. And hope others find it very helpful as well. If we could now, in the interest of time, get straight into the Q&A session. There are a few specific questions for both Ambassador Javed as well as for Professor Verghese. So I would first invite Kapil Raj in order of the questions that were raised, followed by Chandrika Kaul. So Kapil, could you first start off? Your comments are general, I think, and can be addressed by Professor Verghese. And Chandrika had a specific question for Javed Ashraf, particularly in line with what are the events that he's contemplating organizing in Paris. I will keep coming in on the UK bit in a while, but with that, over to you, Kapil.
Thanks a lot, Raman. So my name is Kapil Raj. I graduated in 69, 70, and then I came back to college in 73 to do my MA in philosophy and graduated in 75. And ever since, I've been here in Paris. So for 46 years. I did my PhD, and I'm a professor at the University in the history of science. So I just wanted to thank you all for this initiative. After all these years, that there should be some initiative taken to get us all together. And I just wanted, just suggested that we should all just have a round of introduction as to who's who, which year we passed out in, and what we're doing.
That's okay. Thank you, Kapil, for that. Come back to, I will go on to Chandrika Kaul and Rebecca, because both had a question to do with Paris. So would you like to take the lead, Chandrika, and after that, Rebecca? And both were for Ambassador Javed Ashraf.
Well, hello. I'm Chandrika Kaul. I'm Professor of Modern History at the University of St. Andrews, where I've been for several years. But I know absolutely nothing. I have no information about any of these wonderful alumni organizations in London, where I've seemed to have spent half my life doing research, but also Paris, which is, as someone kindly said, just a train ride away. I would love to know more and to contribute more. But apart from the fun side, I did also have a very quick question. How can we contact the esteemed principal, Professor Verghese, directly? Because just briefly, I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm part of an initiative at St. Andrews, where I'm based. And I've been trying to link up with St. Stephen's in terms of students and, in terms of encouraging students to come over, etc. But I have failed. I have tried and failed for over a year. So if someone could contact me or give me some details about how I can take that forward, and this is quite urgent, so that would be wonderful. Thank you.
We will, and Susan will come back to you on the second bit, but I would request Ambassador Javed Ashraf to please answer the question on the Paris events.
Well, thank you, everyone. The first thing I did when I came to Paris and spoiled by Singapore, where we had a very large alumni association and a very active one, is to ask if there were any Stephanians here. And despite the fact that we've had ambassadors here who've been to college before me, but there didn't seem to be anyone I knew or anyone here who knew who had been to St. Stephen's College. So I've just come to know there are people here. I see Rebecca and was very delighted to learn that Mr. Kapil Raj, also from college. We'd be very happy to organize a dinner in January, since we are already now heading into, and if someone were to put together the address, send it to me at my address is it's there on the website, but amb.paris at mea.gov.in. So amb.paris at mea.gov.in. I'd be very happy to organize a dinner when we can then think about what we do. Separately, in the course of the next year, we'll be also doing a number of events, including hopefully a big festival of India to celebrate 75 years of India's independence. And as we did in Singapore, I was pretty partial to Stephanians there, and made sure that everyone was invited to each event, was treated with special care, and to actually have them contribute. This is something that we can, but I'd be really happy to first get together physically, organize a dinner at my place, and have an evening, including, and I'd be happy to invite everyone who wants to come from, take the train from London and join us. So this is the address, and we will circulate it through our association now, alumni chapter heads, and we have somebody here. The second question, a broader question that was raised is not just about fun events that we do, it's about how we can tap into the extraordinary expertise, institutional capacities, and experience that exist in the alumni in Europe, and find a way to contribute back to college. We just heard Chandrika Kaul speak about it. And I think perhaps we need to see the communication, because principal and we interacted very closely, very regularly in Singapore, and we got a prompt response always. And there are a number of things that I listed out that we did from Singapore for college, including scholarship, including mentorship, including internship, and also building institutional linkages with NUS and others we were working on. And also, I'd say this, that frankly, we can help, we're large in number, we can really help the college expand the infrastructure. It's not, whichever institution you go to in India now, except to the well-funded private institutions like Shiv Nadar or others, institutions, including my premier IIM Ahmedabad, needs desperate injection of capital for upgrading infrastructure. And this is again an enterprise that we had embarked upon in Singapore. There are many of us who work with financial firms, with private equity firms, etc. It isn't just about the big contribution. If you look at the numbers and if you make a modest contribution, we can add up to a great number. And I can assure you that a college will do it with a great deal of transparency, inclusion, and participative process. This is something which we have discussed earlier with Professor. But intellectual capital is where we can really, really help. And I can tell you, if you go and talk to the students now, you'd be amazed how good they are, how really good connected, how interested, how keen they are, and how much more, in a sense, aware and engaged they are than our generations were. And so you can see how much we can build on it. I'm open to do whatever we can from here. And as I said, that we can start with a nice celebratory dinner, that we can be together and reminisce about college, talk about the things we can give back to college, but also things we can do together, even organize concerts which we can all attend together. And I promise that everything we do here, every Stephanian will get an invitation to.
Wonderful words, wonderful words. And we will pray to God to strengthen your arms to remain impartial, or remain partial, sorry, to Stephanians. Thank you. Rebecca, would you like to add to Chandrika's question at all, or you've also got your clarifications? If not, there are three more questions, and we'll have to stop after that.
I just want to say, Rebecca, I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Yeah, same here. So I just wanted to let you know that we had like a very informal meeting of Stephanians, and it was not like we were looking for Stephanians, just people we met and got to know that we are all from Stephens, and we met up, and it was great. And yeah, it would be really nice to have things like that planned in future. So really looking forward to the new initiatives.
Please send me a list as soon as possible, and we will.
Sure.
I'm serious about it. Once we are back from the break, we'll organize something.
Great, I'll do that.
Wonderful. And Chandrika, not to forget, you had a question about the UK, the London bit. If you write to Anne Susan Elias, we will provide you the details of Sanjeev Chopra. He was the person who is actually looking after this somewhat loose arrangement of the Stephanian alumni, but we'll connect you to him.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Could I just say that I see on the screen a dear friend of St. Stephen's, Dan O'Connor, and he's had his hand up for a while. So I know Dan doesn't need me to encourage him, but if you, Raman, could invite him to talk next, I would be grateful.
Yeah, Chandrika, I'll do that. There are two, three other people who are also waiting to be answered.
Oh, sorry.
I'm making a note. So don't you worry.
Sorry.
So first to Prabhu Guptara, would you like to say something, Prabhu, and then followed by Naveed and then Dan? And then we'll have to.
Thank you, Raman. I just wanted to say that I worked for 15 years for the world's largest bank, what was then the world's largest bank, and tried very hard, based in Switzerland, to get Stephanians together, but utterly failed. And I hope that this new initiative will mean that we can all get together and really begin to get things going. Now, I think one secret really of any alumni association to be able to go forward together is, of course, to have fun together, enjoy being together, but also to have some particular projects that people can get involved in. I think all of us have capacities to do general things, but I think if as a European association, we could take 1 or 2 or 3 projects, but not more than that, few of us could take specific projects. And some of us will be more involved in one, some will be more involved in the other, that's fine. But if we can adopt some specific projects to support college, that would be great.
Good thoughts there. I will request Shachi, who will be doing the vote of thanks, to also answer your question. At this stage, because of the paucity of time, Can I ask Naveed to next pose this question?
It's a very it's a very quick one. I've been around for 50 years and I've been trying desperately to find out about any alumni activity in this country. And I've spoken to Skachi or emailed him. There's a guy called Srijit, and we've been trying to organize something in Cambridge, but nothing seems to be coming out of it. I was fortunate and met Professor Verghese when we had the 69, because I'm the 69 batch. So we had our 50th anniversary in the college just before the pandemic in November 2019. The thing is that, and I think most of you have mentioned that we do have certain skills. And I studied in Cranfield after Cranfield Institute of Technology, as it was then, it's Cranfield University now. Did my master's there, and after that joined Tesco, and I was retired of working for them for about 35 years, and I do a lot of pro bono voluntary consultancies for charities and CEOs and trustees, and I mentor a lot of them and develop their business plans, all that sort of thing. I mean, I'm at the stage now that I've retired that I do have the time to contribute to those sort of activities, and it's a pity that I'm not able to do that with perhaps people from India or organizations in India. So I'm open for that sort of suggestion and contribution as well.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you on that. Dan, Friends of St. Stephen's, and I would squeeze in one more question if after that, and then we will have to go into the vote of thanks. Dan?
I think it should really be said that Dan O'Connor is not just a friend of college. He was chaplain of college for many years. He was a professor of English there for many years, and taught me and so on. So he's probably not just the oldest, but also very eminent member of college, having written various books and so on, including books on college. So he's not just a friend.
So thank you for that. Well, all the more reason, Dan, why delay a good thing? Over to you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes, we can, Dan.
Oh, well, just thank you. And thank you, Chandrika, for a kind mention. I'm living in a village just outside St. Andrews, and I'm living as a hermit here for obvious reasons with this damn COVID. But otherwise, my links with the college are very healthy, but they purely through individual friendships. And I treasure those of my former students who are still alive. And I've managed to outlive quite a few of them. I'm being fairly ancient myself, but my love of the college persists, and it's maintained and sustained day by day with marvelous emails from old friends there. I have no financial links with the college. That's impossible for an elderly person, I can assure you. At the same time, the links of friendship are very precious, and they'll go on forever.
Wonderful, Dan, wonderful. And may your interest persist, and may you be blessed with a healthy, happy life and many more years. And the last question is for Sanjay Bahadur. Professor Verghese, he has a very specific question for you. So Sanjay, can you put your question across to the principal?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Raman. No, it's a very simple question, but not an easy one. So first of all, Sanjay Bahadur, I'm living in Switzerland and working for Nestle, the food company. And Professor, I'm a Delhi person and have lots of friends in Delhi. And a lot of us who are living abroad, who are from Delhi, actually try to get back around Christmas time. It simply works better from a Western world perspective. And
Losing you there, Sanjay. Maybe you have to unmute.
No. Poor connection, I think.
Okay. Sanjay, could you put this on email? Sashi has posted something on the chat. You'll get the email ID from there. Please take that and we will get back to you. Sashi will get back to you. That's all been very wonderful so far. And we are about to overrun our allotted extra time. So I have pleasure in inviting Sashi Gurumayum to now say a few words. He's also a member of a small group of the core committee, Global Alumni Group. Over to you, Sashi.
Thank you, Mr. Raman. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here, and you know, what an honor to be asked to say a few words to close the event. I think you know, it's true, we have not had such an event in the EU, and I've been here for the last 20 plus years, 10 years in the UK, and then quite a few in France and Switzerland, part of which I also spent in Africa. So really nice to be connected to all of you. I have shared my details as well as the alumni details. And just to reiterate, you know, the reason why we're doing this is essentially to generate awareness that we are here, that we would like to build some momentum around what the Alumni Association in Europe would do. We do need a certain number of us to be able to pull off any of the activities that I recognize we could be doing. We have tried at an individual level, and I think that's something that we can do once we have a threshold number. But, you know, Ambassador Zawed, Your Excellency, I have been in contact with Akas, who was working closely with you. Akas is a fellow alumnus who worked very closely to organize a lot of the events in Singapore. And I've only heard of good things. You know, I've never had anyone tell me about your memories of dishonor. So I can't say I've found anything, but I'll have to do more digging. But what a nice, you know, walk down nostalgia. You know, you made us sort of remember things, remember some of the, I was also in residence myself 3 years. And interestingly, you know, the descriptions that you gave sort of reminded me of my time there. And interestingly, I was one of the last ones to stay in Alnut South before it was converted to a women's block, and I had to move to Mukwes, the Wild West. And not necessarily by choice, but I think I had a fantastic time in Mukwes. So, you know, wonderful to hear you, and having known what you've done in Singapore, I think we are in good hands in Europe with your guidance, and moving forward, I'm pretty sure we'll have some exciting events in the coming year, in the new year, and so on. And then, you know, for all of that to be brought to life with the virtual tour, I think that was just wonderful. So thank you, Vishwanath, for that. I think what you and Professor Verghese have managed to pull off there, I think it's fantastic. This is going to be a hit with every one of our you know, fellow alumni members around the world. Of course, you know, an event like this, we wouldn't have been able to pull off without the kind of support, the background work that goes into, you know, collating names and addresses and details. And we have learned quite a few of quite a few individuals who've been around, who've not done much. I mean, Mr. Navin, you know, I hope that now we have some momentum and we can do some things together. But I see many in Switzerland, many in France. I mean, I am cross-border, so I live literally at the border between France, Germany, and Switzerland. So it'd be wonderful if I could, you know, if any place from around here is only a few hours drive. So it would be wonderful if we can catch up at some point. But you know, to pull off an event like this requires determination, a lot of background work, and I must thank Professor Verghese for all the encouragement, and also the Alumni Core Committee. We've been talking about this for a long time, and Mr. Raman, who has been involved in EU, UK, India activities, has been encouraging us to do this. Srijit, who is based out of Cambridge, not here today, but has also been instrumental in trying to get us to this stage. And also, you know, Anne Susan, I mean, we've talked about her before, but Anne has been working quietly in the background. We don't see her a lot, but she's the one who's mobilized all of us to be here to put this together. So thank you, Anne. I think you've done a wonderful job. And remember, she is actually a teacher of English and is doing this on the side for the sake of the Alumni Association. So thank you, Anne. And I understand you've had a lot of help from a young third-year student, Amal Kuruvilla, who is also amongst us. So Amal, thank you very much. It's individuals like you who help us, who help us achieve what we achieve. And I'd like to just, end by saying, I mean, what Professor Verghese said earlier about, there is strength in us being united and in us being able to do things together. The bond that Your Excellency Ambassador Javed mentioned, I think that remains strong, and it's visible here. If we can take this to the next level, and Mr. Dan, I'm so happy to see you. I think you in some ways, you may be an institution that I hadn't heard of. And so I'm really pleased to be here to know you. And I hope we can continue to seek guidance and support from you. And I think in many ways, thank you very much. I think we've certainly had a very pleasant hour and a half walking down memory lane and planning the future. And as I have mentioned in the chat box, please reach out to us. We are trying to build momentum from here. Please sign up to the Alumni Association. If you know others who are not here but would love to be part of this, please do so. I think the more we are, the more we can do things, have our individual, even in-country events that can build up to a bigger European face-to-face in 2022. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And of course, just to conclude, I wish you all a very merry festive season, New Year's, and hope to see you in 2022. Thank you.
So much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the next one.
Yes.
All the best. Have a lovely Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Speak to your couple soon, yeah? Sorry, Dan, are you Reverend O'Connor?
That's right. Yes. Can you hear me?
Because obviously Kapil and I would know you very well.
Yes.
You were there at our time.
Kapil Sibbo.
Yes.
No, Kapil Raj. Do you remember me?
Of course. Yes.
Yes, Dan.
So we've all grown a little bit older.
Yes, I know.
Just a bit.
Yeah, I didn't know you were in St. Andrews because I used to visit St. Andrews very often in the 1990s.
Really? Well, we retired. We came back from India. My first job back in Britain after St. Stephen's was as chaplain at St. Andrews.
Oh, really?
Just for 5 years. And then I'd had enough of students for some time. But we decided to retire to this area. And it's a lovely place to be. I still have one toe in the university and potter in there occasionally. And I'm still happy to see Stephanians turning up. It's amazing how they.
Yes, I know. I get news of you from Dilip Simeon.
D-Sim.
Yes,
Yeah.
D-Sim, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
because Sim and I keep talking. We're in touch all the time.
He's been a great intellectual traveler since revolutionary days.
Yes, absolutely.
He's gone
That's
on
why Kapil remembers him.
a very interesting journey.
Yeah. I mean, we're very, very close. We've stayed that way for over 50 years now.
Yes, I love you now. Yes. People still keep turning up for me. Only a fortnight ago, I had a message from Chatterjee now, the novelist Chatterjee.
Vikram?
Whom I hadn't heard of since
Vikram Chatterjee, yes.
Vikram.
Jay Blasso Chatterjee. And we hadn't been in touch since he was a teacher, as a student of mine. And he suddenly appeared a fortnight ago. It's lovely.
Very important. Then, do you play golf?
I'm ashamed to say I don't.
And you're in St. Andrews.
Our first home the garden opened onto a golf course. We lived first in a little village called Ely, down the coast, and we had our own golf course there. But I'm ashamed to say I never got grounded. My ambition was to learn to be a decent trout fisher, a fly fisher. And that I learned when we got back to Scotland. That's the other important sport in Scotland.
Yes. No, I've been to St Andrews. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. Beautiful city, rather. Yeah. So I'm in touch with a lot of our batchmates. You know, people like Philip Matthew and Kumar Iyengar and people like that. I'm sure you know them, and I'm quite sure they'd all send their best wishes to you. In fact, you were mentioned recently in a conversation we were having, and they mentioned that you had actually retired to St Andrews. So people do remember you and do think about you. I just wanted to communicate.
Well, I hope you remember Juliet, my wife.
Yes, of course.
She was involved in one play after another.
Absolutely.
Costumes,
Costumes, yes.
It was a very happy time for her also.
Yeah.
I lost her 5 years
I know. I mean, I'm so sorry about that. I really did. Yeah. You know, when Dilip informed me about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I miss her greatly, but we had a wonderful life together, both in India and back here. Yes.
I'm sure. Okay. Thank you, Anne, for letting us gabble on for a little while longer.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much, Anne, for this, and thank you for organizing and for taking this initiative.
Absolutely.
I hope at some point when I'm in India, I'll be able to see you in person.
You must let me.
Yes, I come every year because I teach. I teach for a semester.
Right.
I taught for 2 years at Ashoka.
Okay, all right, excellent.
And now I'll be going to Kriya University in South India. Yeah.
Do you know Ananya Das Gupta, Dr. Ananya Das Gupta?
I know who she is, yes.
Yeah, she's also Stephanian.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Oh, excellent. Please let us know. We'd love to have you.
I will. And if any time you're organizing anything in Paris, or if you come to Paris, please let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you, and thank you ever so much.
And Susan, I mean, Kapil obviously is very knowledgeable, and he spent a lot of time at social work as well. So I know this Center for Advanced Studies and college that has actually been opened, and I'm quite sure Kapil would actually make a great contribution if you invite him for some of the lectures on a subject of, I'm sure, mutual interest.
Right. Absolutely. That's a great suggestion. I've just taken a note of it. Thank you so much.
No, that's all right. Thank you. Lovely speaking. Thank you for organizing.
And thanks so much, and lovely to see you again, Dan, after all these years.
And nice to have a word with Prabhu as well, whom I never.
I missed him. Yeah, I sent him a little note saying hi because Prabhu was my next door neighbor in Mukherjee.
Oh right. Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, the picture I have of you is actually on. You had this white. What do you call it? Cassock all the time. That's the only image I have of you from college.
The happy thing was that you didn't need to wear a great deal underneath it. In that climate was quite helpful.
Yes.
Anyway, you look after yourself, and thank you again, everyone.
Lovely to see you, and thanks. Bye.
Hope to see you soon, huh?
Hope to see you soon in any case. Yeah, and keep in touch and keep safe with all this happening.
You too.
All the best. And you, Dan, just keep safe. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just us. Good job,
Okay,
Amal. Thank you so much, Amal. Thank you. It went so smoothly, so efficiently, and thanks to you for that, Amal.
Oh, 1 second. I forgot to end the live stream. The whole conversation would have been in the live stream.
Let's end the live stream.
But